What's up, music fans? We are last week's album back again this week. I am Kevin,
I'm Derek.
and we'll kick things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Derek,
Cheers, Kevin.
and cheers, everyone at home. Let's get right to it, guys. This week we are reviewing an album called Whirlpool by a band called A Grave with No Name. A little backstory. A Grave with No Name is sort of masterminded by Alex Shields. He's a London-based musician, songwriter, what have you. This is the third LP in a trilogy. Fun fact, though, this is actually the prequel to the other two albums. And he is joined by Tom King, Anupa Madawella, some guest vocals and instrumentation by Linda Jarvis, Akiko Matsura, and Alana McArdle. Mouthful right there, but that's the backstory of A Grave with No Name. Oh yeah, one more fun fact. His band name is actually a big joke poking fun at super emo band names. For instance, As I Lay Dying, which he has mentioned in an interview. So, take that as you will. I think it's pretty funny. However, he is not a super emo group. They are not a super emo group. Let's tell everyone what they sound like instead. Derek, what do you have?
Well, Kevin, despite what my first Google searches may have implied after I first sought out what you told me we were reviewing this week, Whirlpool does not sound like a home appliance. Rather than thinking about refrigerators, it made me want to happily stare at my shoes endlessly.
I see what you did there. A play on shoegaze, and I like it. I have sounds like the XX and the Flaming Lips play a sunrise show in the city of Atlantis.
I like it. I like it.
They bend genres and bend sounds here on the album, and a lot of times they use sort of underwater effects or atmospheric tones. So that's where the Atlantis reference comes in. Let's get into key tracks. I have Aurora, Bored Again, and Streams. What about you, Derek?
Kevin, I agree with you on the first two, Aurora and Bored Again, but for number 3, I went with Float.
All right. Well, let's start with Aurora. For me, it just started off really strong right out of the gate, and this is where you hear a little bit of that XX sound I was mentioning. Don't know why I did quotes there. But there's angular guitar notes, a pounding drum loop, whirling synths, and this thick bass and these chill female vocals by McArdle, who I mentioned earlier. And overall, it just sounds like more upbeat, happier, less depressed, the XX. What do you think of it, Derek?
I agree with you. Yeah, that dominant booming bass guitar line really kicks things off early. High energy. The overall sound, I thought, didn't stray too far away from relying on that bass riff, but overall, it had a very distinct sound compared to the rest of the album, and I really enjoyed it.
Sure. All right. Well, we both agreed on Bored Again as well. I like this one because it was kind of like fun and goofy, which was different for A Grave with No Name and this album. They're normally pretty intense and introspective and dark, but this one was just kind of almost not a throwaway, but an exploration in a different tone, and I really liked it. It's got jangly guitar, subtle bass, country drums, and this redundant, very redundant yet catchy vocal hook. And the whole song just gets slowly brighter and brighter as it moves along for me. Why'd you like it, Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked the upbeat bass snare beat that kicks off, and then the lo-fi acoustic guitar that really kind of drives things with the group vocals. As you said, really catchy vocal melody. A lot of other sounds kind of come in towards the end. There was kind of this groaning, cascading synth type thing that came in towards the end. An example, the underwater imagery and type illusions they make. But overall, just a really catchy song. Definitely high energy.
All right, and now we disagree. For my third track, I chose Streams, another water reference there for you guys if you're keeping track. It's tambourine, acoustic, and falsetto, and this is sort of where I heard that Flaming Lips sound. It's got these electric arpeggios, these cooing backup vocals that are really, really beautiful. And later the drums come in and it all picks up pace. And then this just kind of one-off cello outro that, I don't know, you listen to it all together, it jumps around but seamlessly and really draws you in. So I dug it. What is your third track, Derek?
Kevin, I got Float as my last key track. It opens with this bright electric guitar riff, bass, snare, cymbal, heavy drum beat, kind of some hazy sounding guitars. It really kind of reminded me of kind of sounding like Band of Horses, circa Everything All the Time. Just really kind of upbeat number from them. Really enjoyed it. The lyrics here again once again, kind of focusing on the love-loss theme, though this one focusing more on the love end of the spectrum, as opposed to the other end where he seems to kind of spend most of the time with this album. Overall, just really catchy song.
All right, well, you mentioned lyrics. Let's stay on that vein and jump into best lyric. What do you have for your best lyric, Derek?
All right, to do a complete 180 from what I just said.
I thought that was going to be a smooth transition. Is it not?
Oh, there's no smooth about this transition. This one comes from Bored Again. I was leaving town with a broken heart. I was slumping my shoulders over and back again.
Yep. I can see why that would not be a perfect segue. For my best lyric, it comes from the song The Steps. The days fade into photographs developed in my brain, and my hair is wet with sepia. Still, I love you more. And just kind of epitomizes this nostalgia that sort of permeates the album, as well as, again, the watery imagery I think you mentioned as well, Derek. So, thought it encapsulated the album well, which brings us to overall rating. I'm going to make you go first, Derek.
Kevin, I am giving this one a 3, a solid 3 if we were giving subgrades or something like that. There were definitely a lot of highlights in this album. However, the fluidity of how the tracks sort of flow together, there are a lot of kind of intros and outros. However, that kind of muddies up the water, if you will, and sometimes makes some of the highlights a little harder to stand out. That was just one thing that I kind of thought of. However, to give A Grave with No Name some credit, this is a difficult niche or genre to kind of tap into. However, I got to say this is a really solid effort. Really enjoyed it, and A Grave with No Name is definitely out there making a name.
Nice. I'm going to go higher, much higher. I'm going to go 5 out of 5. Every time I listened to this album, it grew on me more and more. At first, it didn't grab me, I will admit, but with more listens, it definitely did. And he's sort of known for this hushed shoegaze, lo-fi vibe. And I thought the irony of this album was that I thought it was at its best when it picked up and got really rocking, which was nice. He's showing some experimentation along with guest players and more instruments, and actually going into a studio this time. I think he pulled it off, exploring bigger, broader sounds that, to me, effortlessly jumped genres and moods without being jarring at all. I thought they flew. The songs flowed into each other nicely, but without that sort of not even noticing that sometimes happens when songs flow together too well. You don't even notice it's changed. So that's a long way of saying why I gave it a 5. But there you have it, guys. Another review from last week's album, A Grave with No Name. The name of the album is Whirlpool, and we are your trusty advisors here at last week's album. My name is Kevin.
I'm Derek.
And we are signing off last week's album, talking about good music. See you next week.